Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to be reacting to a Japanese couple that became Muslim. They reverted from Islam, from Buddhist to Islam. I've been a revert myself. I love to watch these revert stories.
The worldview of Islam is so obvious. It solves all the
problems.
problems.
Honestly.
And it's simple.
Very simple. I think that's something we don't appreciate about Islam, is the simplicity. God is one, as is in the Old Testament and the New Testament. God is one. Simple, easy to digest. It's just, I think that's the genius is in its simplicity and truth.
My wife started catching on. I was Muslim. She became very anti-Islam. She started studying Islam to find things to make me not be Muslim anymore.
This is why I'm really interested to see where this one goes, because a lot of revert has issues at this point.
So, how was your life in regards to faith?
I think Buddhism especially was very central in our family. I knew that my grandfather was very respected in the community. I knew obviously my mom worked at the temple, so I spent most of my time, we were there every weekend. I was part of the youth group at the temple. I was very involved in temple activities.
So I was surprised.
It's funny as well because before I became Muslim, there was a Buddhist guy that I worked with, and I started getting interested in Buddhism. Alhamdulillah, I became a Muslim. It's just, there's no competition, man. There's no competition.
We did Sunday service like Christian church, but there's no that kind of thing in Japan. So I was surprised. They have a song about Buddha and singing. I wasn't go every Sunday, only just a few months, maybe just my father, he wanted to take us to the Christian church.
What was the thing that made you question your beliefs?
I always questioned my beliefs, actually. I really believed in Buddhism, but I didn't believe in Jodo Shinshu. It's a type of Japanese Buddhism. It's actually maybe the main Japanese Buddhism.
And how did your journey to Islam begin?
I got in a lot of trouble in high school. So I got in trouble trying to establish myself or prove myself maybe too hard, too much. I did get kicked out of school. I did have a difficult time. And I did realize at that point that my religion was offering me no direction. It wasn't helping me make good decisions with my life. And that's when I really decided to go all in on learning Japanese culture. So I thought, well, okay, I'm going to give up on religion for a bit, but if I just focus on something positive and just put all my energy there, then I don't have energy to do, other things that maybe I shouldn't be doing. So that's how it all started. So yeah, I came to Japan in 2006 as a foreign exchange student. That's when I met my wife. I guess it was very important for me to feel authentic. And I think that's why I went so hard into trying to really immerse myself in very traditional Japanese culture. And that became my religion for a while. Flash forward.
That's crazy. And I think when you hear a lot of revert stories, this is something that always comes up. They come to this position at that point in their life where they're like, okay, things are not going well. That's probably, things are not going well. Or my heart is just in turmoil. So I've got to now do something to get myself some direction.
To 2012. Now, he's a very good friend of mine, a guy from Syria, came to Japan during the Syrian civil war. He had to come as a political refugee, and we just started talking. I asked him how he conceptualizes God. What is God? Is God the universe? Is God a guy with a beard and a cloud? To you, what is God? And his response to me was well, actually, he said, let me show you something. And he showed me Ikhlas. He said, this is what we believe. And I said, okay, so it's not a guy. He's like, no, obviously it's not a guy. Is it the universe? No, it's like nothing you can imagine. There's nothing equal to him, and it's not has nothing to do with the Christian beliefs. No, he wasn't created. He didn't give birth to anything. Nothing gave birth to him. Again, it's just obvious. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay, I can vibe with that. That's okay.
And the funny thing as well, yeah, amongst believers, people who believe in God, Surah Ikhlas never gets rejected. Never gets rejected. The only people that have issue are maybe English-speaking people who have an issue with the word Allah. But if you swap out the word Allah for just God and just describe the meaning, Surah Ikhlas never gets rejected. Say He's Allah one and only. So if you said, say God is one and He's the only one. No one's ever going to reject the absolute and eternal. Allahu Samad, the absolute and eternal. No one's going to reject that. Not begotten, nor was He begot. He begets not, nor was He begotten. So he doesn't give birth to anything, nor was He given birth to. And there's nothing like Him, or co-equal to Him, or comparable to Him. No one is going to reject that from people who are people of faith. People with corrupt beliefs, after that, they're going to do what they're going to do.
When I met this Syrian guy, it just happened to be at a point in my life when I was rethinking how I was living. And, I actually realized that I already believed in God. And looking back on my life, I think I realized that I believed in God my entire life. But it was something that I was pushing away for whatever reason. Maybe I was pushing it away because my father was a very hardcore atheist philosopher who spent years and years trying to teach me how to debate against theists and how I should respond to them and how I could, belittle their beliefs in God, how to fight back against Christians who are trying to, tell me about the message, the word of Jesus. So I think from very young age, like literally, 10 years old or so, I felt like I wasn't supposed to be, it's not a good thing to be believing in God. You're not supposed to believe in that. And as I got older and more committed to the temple, I felt more and more like I can't believe in God because I have to be committed to this temple, or I have to be committed to the Japanese community here, and they don't believe in God. So my spiritual journey was actually really short, the spiritual journey itself. I met this guy, he told me about Islam. I kind of remembered all these little bits and pieces from my life, and I was like, yeah, actually, if I'm honest with myself, that's what I believe in. It wasn't...
That is exactly how I felt. That's exactly how I felt when someone told me about Islam. I felt like everything just fell into place. My mother telling me that God is one. There's only one God. So when someone said the Shahada to me, Shahadu la ilaha illallah, Shahadu Muhammad Rasulullah, no issues, like water going down your throat.
Not hard. It was actually very fast. I knew I was Muslim very quickly. The worldview of Islam is so obvious. The second if someone tells you, if you're honest, it's so obvious, it's hard to not see. It solves all the problems. And it's simple. But the reason it took me a long time and I had to study and research and look into this and that and this and that is because I'm thinking of all the people that I'm going to have to explain this to later on. How am I going to talk to my philosopher father? How am I going to talk to my Buddhist mother who's working at the temple? How am I going to talk to like the family and the community, that I grew up in this temple? Like they know my grandfather, my mother, and then me. And
how did your family, your wife react to your reversion to Islam, your families? The thing that you feared the most?
So this was the real reason I was studying, because I knew what I was in for. I knew that first of all, my wife was not going to accept it. Her family was definitely not going to accept it. My family was not going to accept it. My father, my mother were not going to accept it. I just knew already no one was going to be happy. So as just a survival technique, I guess, I was just trying to hide it as best I could. I didn't.
Wallahi, man, alhamdulillah. Allah made it so easy for my mother and my siblings and my cousins, alhamdulillah, to accept at least my Islam, and obviously then my brother to accept Islam, rahmallah, and my cousins, few of my cousins to accept Islam, and most recently my sister, alhamdulillah. So I've been blessed in this regard, man. May Allah guide my mother.
Pray in front of people. If I was fasting, I didn't tell people I was fasting. I would just make like excuses, like, I've got a doctor's appointment after this, or I have to keep like an empty stomach, or I'd just pretend to drink something and not actually drink it. For a long time, I think it was just very hidden. I thought that with my wife, I would just make small changes, and eventually if I just became a better person, or she saw family life getting better, maybe, she would ask me like, oh, hey, why are you such an awesome husband now?
Yeah, I went the other route. Said just become an awful husband, and then obviously she's going to be really impressed at how bad I could become.
Like, what happened? That didn't happen though. So every little small change I had to introduce very, very carefully. For example, praying, waking up for Fajr. How quiet could I be? And so even now, it's kind of funny, like people laugh, like when my alarm goes off, I'm trained, so like I can jump up so fast, I can turn off the alarm before the first beep finishes. So like, like if it goes deet, 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 I can be like, deet. And I can get it. And when my wife started catching on that I was Muslim and I was fasting because of Islam and I was not drinking because of Islam and I was asking her not to cook with pork anymore because of Islam, she became very anti-Islam. She started studying Islam to find things to make me not be Muslim anymore. And then it was kind of going okay, but then like I started growing a beard.
Oh, yeah.
So any of the women in my life, basically, anytime they saw my face, they would tell me, you look like Osama bin Laden. Like, if you want to join ISIS, then why are you in Japan? Like, shave your face. Like, you look dirty. Like, you need to, like, go shave. Like, do you need me to buy you a razor? Like, and this is like, every time I met...
Miskin, look, she's so embarrassed. Allah reward them both for good. SubhanAllah. It's beautiful.
So every
Allah.
time...
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It was always like this.
And then, how did your wife become Muslim?
So again, things were going very bad. I was getting to the point where we were actually talking about separating. Obviously, I didn't want to. And she said, fine, we don't have to separate, but like you can just go live at a different place and you can live in a different room, get a different apartment, and you can be Muslim there. I don't care. Officially, legally, we can be married. You can come see the kids on weekends and stuff, but you just go be Muslim somewhere else. Leave us out of it. Like, you're making life difficult for us. It was getting bad. And we were just fighting all the time. I remember coming home one night and we live on the second floor. And I got to the bottom of the stairs outside of my apartment and I didn't have enough energy to step up to the first step. And I stood in front of the staircase and I was just so tired. I was so tired of fighting. I was so tired of defending, my beliefs. I was so tired of people telling me to shave my face. I was so tired of so many things. And I just stood there and for the first time turned to Allah. And I said, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, so please, whatever is best for me. I don't, if it's with my wife, please make this work. If it's not, then please just, I'm asking for something better. But I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm just so tired. Right then, it was very, very early in Corona. Like, it's like after day 5 or something, like the people who get better, and then the people who get worse, they just start to get worse. And this is on the news when you're seeing like, so many people dying from this and the hospitals are, they're at capacity or whatever. It's like peak fear. Everyone is peak fear of Corona. And very early on, I got Corona. So this was at a point in time where if you got Corona, the hospitals wouldn't accept you, an ambulance isn't going to come pick you up. Like, you don't want to tell people you have Corona because there's still like a stigma about it where, it's like you have the black plague or something. And so, I was locked in a room. I had to lock myself in a room for a while and, we didn't know what was happening. But I started to get better. But as I started to get better, my wife got sick.
もうだんだん治らないので、熱も下がらないし、咳も出るし、味もわからない、匂いもわからない。なんかもう周りの人もなんか怖いから隔離しなきゃいけないっていう、そういうわけのわからない病気になっちゃったので、もしかしたらこのままだと本当に死んでしまったら、しげさんとも会えなくなるし、子供たちとも会えなくなっちゃうっていうのがもう。
And she's not getting better. Okay, well, it's going on like 2 weeks now and she's getting worse and her cough is getting worse and it's going on 3 weeks and it's like, okay, well, yeah, okay, this isn't good. And then from my perspective, I was worried. Her oxygen levels were still like acceptable, so I wasn't like super worried, but I was concerned.
もうとりあえず旦那がもう治ってるのにもかかわらず私が全然治らないのがもうどんどん心配になってきて、しかも一人でこう隔離されているので部屋が誰とも会えないし、すっごいいつも以上に自分の時間があったんですね。だからなんかすごい私もともと心配性なので、なんかいろいろ考えてしまって悪いこと。なんかこのまま死んじゃうのかなみたいな。
Then randomly one day out of nowhere, she says to me like, "Hey, so you need 2 witnesses for Shahada, right?"
Death clears it up. The thing is, when you're facing your own mortality, as they say, there's no atheist on the sinking ship. And it goes to show sometimes people need to be tested with these things in order for them to actually say, actually, wait a second. So I'm gonna, for my family's sake, I'm gonna die like this. Okay, nah, no thanks. Give me Islam.